Hey, Curtis.
Oh, hey, Oz.
How are you?
I'm doing super. How are you?
New month, new theme.
New month, new theme.
What do you got for us?
This week, we've got vacation plus The Boy Who Could Fly. Add in The Revenant, a pinch of Wall Street, all taking place at the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. This week, we're watching The Great Outdoors.
Revenant.
I was talking with Patreon subscriber Melissa L. It's like, I need a movie with a bear in it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, The Revenant. There we go.
Yeah, that works because it doesn't work at all.
Exactly. It's outside and
there's a bear.
It's outdoors and it's a great bear.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
It's all right there in the title.
Yeah, because when you think it, and having not seen The Revenant, like I know that bear scene's there.
Yes.
But it's like that's the Leo DiCaprio Outside Forever movie, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
With a bear.
Just like this movie. It's outdoors.
Just like this one.
It's great.
So. Oh, man. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme, new month.
New theme. I'm so excited for this one.
I am too. Are we kind of sticking with Candyland?
We're going with Candyland.
Yeah, it's a month full of nothing but John Candy films.
Oh, this movie is like syrup on pancakes.
Yeah, it is. This is like gristle on a big steak. Like,
I ate the last bite.
Yeah. No, it really is a feel-good month because John Candy's just a feel-good guy. Or was a feel-good guy, unfortunately.
Just made fun movies.
Yeah, it's really all it is he's just boisterous and fun and funny, but not like Jim Carrey over the top funny or Jack Black over the top funny.
Not even for the most part like dirty funny, just funny.
No. Yeah, and what I do also really like about John Candy is he's not physical funny either. Like, whereas like Chris Farley, everything was because Chris Farley's a big guy, and John Candy, it's just he's a dad with a family and he's in love, and it's just like it's fun to watch it because he's built like a lot of normal.
He's very relatable, and especially in this week's
good way to put it.
In this week's movie, he's very relatable. For sure.
So before we do get rolling, I want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers: Don S, Aaron A, Mady K, Melissa L, Colin K. Thank you for your patronage.
Thank you.
Great Outdoors, it's your week, so I've got the cast, of which...
What a fun cast in this, too.
It really is.
At least the adults. The adult actors.
Yeah. The child actors
will come up later.
Yeah, they're there.
They're present.
We've got the theme for the month, John Candy, as Chester Chet Ripley.
Chet.
He's married to Connie Ripley, played by Stephanie Faracy, and they are happily married, 2 kids, and they are returning to their honeymoon spot with their children
in the North Woods of Wisconsin.
Yes, we are also introduced, both literally and like film debut, to Annette Bening.
Yes. And her film debut,
right? Who plays Kate Craig? But more importantly, she's Connie's sister.
Yeah.
So that's where these two families in the movie come together.
Familial tie.
And she is married to Dan Aykroyd, playing Roman Craig.
Dan
Aykroyd and John Candy are about as far end of the spectrum as you can get, in terms of lots of things you could qualify them for. And there are 4 children involved as well. You've got Chet and Connie's kids, Buck, and where's the other one at? Buck and Benny, played by Chris Young and Ian Giatti. Chris Young of PCU fame. Everybody knows him from PCU. Everybody.
That's how I know him. Actually, a quick anecdote about Chris Young. Back in the school I transferred to after Western, I was hanging out at somebody's apartment, and I don't recall why or how, but someone had a copy of like a Men's Warehouse promotional DVD.
Okay.
and someone was like, let's watch it. So we put it in, and guess who it was that was narrating this and talking to the camera? Chris Young. It's like, that's the kid from Uncle Buck, or not Uncle Big Red Outdoors.
Yeah, that's the kid from PCU.
Yeah, it's or better known as the kid from PCU.
Yeah, and so hey, he got paid, so
he did, whatever. And hopefully he got to take home that suit too.
It's hard to remember sometimes because everybody gets so fixated on actors and actresses and celebrities, like being like, oh, well, you're an actor, but it's their job, so they're going to take roles. Which is why we get Buff Bagwell in last week's movie.
Got to pay the bills.
Yeah. And so we have, like I said, those are Chet and Connie's kids. And then Kate and Roman's kids are the twins, Kara and Mara, played by twins Hillary and Rebecca Gordon. That's pretty. We got Cammy. Can't forget Cammy.
She was in The Boy Who Could Fly.
Yeah, I had a crush on Lucy Deakins after watching this movie as a kid. I was like, ooh, she's a pretty girl. But like I said pre-show, she's very angry to have been in this movie. Yes. Can only assume that it's like John Candy and Dan Aykroyd are in this movie, and I have to share my screen time with Chris Young.
Exactly. I don't. Is she ever on camera with anybody other than him?
No, just Buck.
I think Benny was in the scene in the pool hall.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was blink and you miss it.
Right. Yeah, but that was their meet cute, I guess.
Shenanigans. That's exactly how Patreon subscriber Melissa L and I met.
Yeah. She put a pool cue between your legs.
I was lining up a shot, and the pool cue going between my legs, and I got mad and flung the pool cue across there, and then I stormed out. And the next day, she found me at my job at A&W.
The thing was, she was facing you when she put it between your legs. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah. Somehow I didn't notice until it was all the way between my legs.
Right.
I shoot pool backwards. I was still playing pool at separate tables.
And I'm sure you have I knew that you were known in the northeastern quadrant of Illinois for you were really good at the Massey, that trick shot, the Massey.
Yes, from the old ESPN commercials, the
Massey.
Yeah, I was known as the Q Chalker of Northern Illinois.
That's right. And so we also have to round out the cast. Yeah. We've got a Louis Arquette.
We do. We have an Arquette.
We've got Robert Prosky.
Oh, I love me some Robert Prosky.
I do too. My favorite, I think, is probably Christine. It's just he wasn't in PCU.
Just for clarity,
right?
He nor the twins were in PCU,
right? And I just because I got a soft spot for his character. Britt Leach is Reg. The man has been struck by lightning 66 times. A few times. All right, so that's the cat. Yeah. Really, the ones that matter are the Ripleys and the Craigs.
Yes. And then there's like the locals. That's really
the locals. Yeah. So which is odd that you're going to have locals in a touristy area, but there's not many locals, and they are integrating with the tourists. Yeah. Like they seem like every place I've visited, it seems like the locals are more. If they're not working, they're cockroaches. That they're never around because they don't want to be around the tourists. Mm-hmm. But in Wisconsin here, they're like,
that's so friendly.
So, all right, that's the cast. Yeah. What do you got for a plot?
Oh, for the plot, I'll give just a quick overarching take on this. Like, this is not a great movie, but it's such a fun movie. Like,
right. That matters. That matters a lot.
Yeah, as we were talking pre-show, like this movie got pretty panned critically when it came out, and again, there's not much of a plot to it.
No.
I kind of liken this movie to A Christmas Story in the sense that there's not a whole lot of plot to A Christmas Story either. It's just kind of a series of vignettes, like chapters in a book. And and with this movie, there is. I'll get to the plot in a moment here, but there's enough of something to kind of string you along. But it's really,
there's a through line.
But it's really just more about the comedy bits and the performances. It's this movie is all about the performances by the adults, and as you mentioned pre-show, the relationships between the characters.
Oh, for sure.
So again, we open
except Buck and Cammy, not their relationship.
No, not their relationship.
Such a pointless plot line.
God. Well, we need a B story somewhere.
Why? I'd much rather see more bits.
I know, right? It's that will come up.
But fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough.
So we open the movie on Chet, the Ripley family singing Yakety Yak as they're in the car on the way to a Northwoods lodge. Of course, they're from Chicago because this was John Hughes wrote it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're probably not even from Chicago. Then you're like Evanston.
Yeah, Winnett. Yeah,
exactly. Somewhere that like if you're outside of Illinois and not aware of Chicago suburbs, you don't know where they're actually from. But.
Kenilworth.
Exactly. Gage's Lake.
Exactly. Gage's Lake. Intercut with the Craig family driving up. I love the musical cue differences between here because it really defines the character so well. Again, the Ripleys are singing Yakety Yak
as a family.
Yes, and they're all singing. Benny's playing like air saxophone. Yeah.
It's like the kids are like they're so comfortable around their parents, and even though these are like teenage kids, this is the age where you're like you think your parents are just scum, and yet they're like
scum.
But I it's like this is the age where like, oh, my parents are such losers, but they're like, hey, this is my parents, I love these guys, and
that will come up later as well, but such a strong bond amongst the four members of the Ripley family. And then you cut to the Craig family and it's that right. Again, my Wall Street cop for my movie marriage is clearly Roman Craig and
in his Mercedes and
it's just
sunglasses. Very aggressive.
Yeah, everything's transactional to him. That's his personality type. So the Ripleys pull up to the lodge that they're at in the Northwoods here, a cabin, I should say, not a lodge, more of a cabin. There's a sign on the hotel desk for prompts. There's a little horn there, like a little, almost like a party favor sort of. And it says for prompt service, blow me. And so,
go ahead.
No, you take it.
Please. I was just, and even like Chet and Connie's reaction of like, oh, that's like they're so in sync with each other, as Chet recognizes how mildly inappropriate that is, but jokes about it, and Connie's right there with it. And
oh God, I love their relationship. I love it. The relationship between those two characters, and the performances between those two. Yeah,
the only part that I really didn't care much for, and we'll get to it, is when he just kept pushing instead of taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
Like, that was the part where I'm like, I know you're married, but dude, just picked up a fish.
So of course he blows the horn, and this huge like Doberman jumps up over, jumps up, and of course Robert Prosky's innkeeper comes out. She's in heat too. Too bad you're not a dog.
Stuck in a buck.
Oh God, what's Prosky's character? Wally. That's right, Wally. Or Wally was the character. Again, just great name for that kind of character too.
Co-owner of Wally and Juanita's Perks Pine Lodge Resort.
That's right. God, that's right. Oh God, even the setting is great in this movie. Kate, Roman's wife, cuts back to them in the car. She's nervous about them showing up. They're just showing up unannounced.
Yeah,
they did not ask, the Ripley family if they could
weren't
come.
Invited.
They just were just going to show up.
And Roman, they're going to be so thrilled to see us. Yeah. Like, it's us.
Mm-hmm. So basically, as you mentioned, the Ripleys, they get their cabin and they send the boys down to just go check out the lake. And as the boys are away, Chet decides to try to, have some fun, with his wife there, with Connie. And as you said, he gets a little a little pushy with it, but at the same time, I get the feel that that's kind of their dynamic.
I do too. Like she just, yeah, I like I said, I wasn't uncomfortable by it, but it was clearly not the first time that he's had to coax her into it.
Yeah.
And she's never really against it. It's just like, it's a mind frame thing. She's like, I'm cleaning, I'm filthy. No. And he's like, but yes,
like, but the kids are at the lake.
Well, like we've got the cabin to ourselves. You could be Sheba, like.
Yeah, and then this back and forth goes. And I don't know if this was scripted or I don't know. I got a strong feeling. I got a strong feeling that most of this was improvised.
Yeah.
But the whole like, you want to play fashion parade?
Yeah. As he's like unzipping her like dress, I guess. Yes. Like she's clearly just kind of dressed in scrub to clean. And she's still got her gloves on.
Yeah, like, rubber gloves on. I never noticed that until the last time I watched it. She's still wearing the rubber gloves.
Like he's pretty much stripped her down to nothing except for these yellow Doctor Strange rubber gloves.
Yeah. And then they start doing this like faux fantasy.
Oh yeah, like, it's so goofy.
Yeah, like you will be Shilana, the oak tree woman.
That's what it was. The oak tree woman.
Temptress of the woods.
Yeah.
And I'll be a guy named Bert. And of course Connie is just right there with it too.
Yeah, because she's like, okay, we're having fun now. You've shifted my mind frame. Like again, she's not disgusted by him; she's just disgusted. Like,
and she's mildly annoyed at the beginning, but quickly comes around to it because again, that's how their relationship works.
Because he's just oozes personality. Yeah, like. He's respectful and he's got his boundaries, but at the same time, he's like, like when he goes, look what happened there.
I love it when I'm the oak tree woman.
Yeah.
And so as they're doing this, and he's slowly addressing her, and clearly about to, have some more physical fun there, the Craigs walk in. Roman has his camcorder out.
Yeah.
Katie is like hiding the girl's eyes. And so, of course, they have this confrontation, and it cuts to Roman and Chet sitting on the porch. Chet is clearly still kind of steamed about it, but he's calmed down.
Like, very sarcastic laughter.
Like, you really got me there. Yeah. So Chet shares that, when I was a kid, I used to come up here with my father, and I want to share these same memories, these same experiences with the boys, which is, again, as you kind of intimated earlier, that's why they're up there. You know, it's where they had their honeymoon, and again, he's a good dad. He's a good family guy, and he wants to create memories for his kids. There's a fun conversation back and forth between the two of them. Roman is looking out across the lake at like the trees and everything. Yeah. And this really sets the tone as far as the stark differences of personality between the two. And Roman asks like Chet, like, what do you see? And Chet's like, well, what do you see? And he goes on this like 30-second rant about like, I see the underdeveloped North Woods. I see golf courses. I see shops. I see these untapped resources. And Chet just goes, I just see trees.
I see trees.
I see trees. So that evening, Chet, they have the whole family there. They're around the fireplace. It's their first night together with everyone. And Chet tells the family an embellished story, a true story, but an embellished story about the evening of their honeymoon up there, in which a literal bear got very close to the cabin to the point that they felt threatened. And Chet shot it with a shotgun and shaved the hair off of the top of the bear's head.
Right.
And
everybody's on the edge of their seat.
He's got them taken.
Yeah.
And of course he throws liquor in the fireplace and whoosh.
It's like what kind of, you say it's liquor. I think it was probably like isopropyl alcohol. That was like pure grain mash liquor.
It's lighter fluid.
Exactly. What are you drinking?
Starting to grill.
Kerosene,
some charcoal briquettes. So as in that same evening, Roman, and I also never caught the subtlety of this scene until the last time I watched it. And I've probably watched this movie like legit 50 times in my life. It's one of those movies that was in the rotation at home, and really, and as I mentioned with like some of the Mel Brooks movies we've talked about, this is one of those like 10, 15 movies that I think really kind of influenced my sense of humor
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways.
Oh, I saw this movie a ton growing up too. Like it seems like it was always on HBO.
Yeah.
And it was one that I was pretty much given free reign to watch whatever anyway, but this is one that I never felt like I had to try and hide from my parents because it's fine.
unlike Lethal Ladies.
Unlike Lethal Ladies, yeah.
And so Roman is eavesdropping on Chet as Chet is parenting Benny about the bear story. I was having some fun. It wasn't nearly what it was. There's
yeah.
And he's just being a good dad.
Yeah.
And so Roman is literally eavesdropping on how Chet is being a good dad. And so he goes to tuck in the twins.
And tries to do the same.
Yeah, and just fails miserably.
Right. Yeah, Uncle Chet was, he's telling a little, he went overboard with it.
Yeah.
Kind of like that time when... Oh man!
And the story he told the twins to try to comfort and reassure them that they're safe ended with cannibals.
Yeah, it was like worse than Chet's story.
Significantly worse.
And then good night, girls.
Yeah. We also get one of the classic sequences after everybody's gone to sleep. There's several cutaways in the evening where we see the raccoons outside the house. Yes, again, nothing to do with the plot, just fun bits, and
it works in the 80s because this was stupid stuff that worked in the 80s.
Yeah, just goofy and silly. It's so like you see the raccoons dialoguing with each other.
Well, and I love that because if they were to make something like that today, they would make the raccoons physically talk. Like they'd make their mouths move, and it's just, that's not funny. This is funny.
Yeah.
Because the raccoons are just doing raccoon stuff.
Yeah, they're trying to get into the garbage, and they're talking about it. And like,
it's like
they're like, "Ooh, you see the Illinois plates?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's like National Geographic type footage of just what a raccoon does. And then they throw the subtitles over it. It's funny.
Yeah. And so, again, after that, we get the series of sort of these comedy vignettes. The next day, Roman convinces Chet's family to forego the pontoon boat for a jet boat.
For a jet boat. Jet boat. Suck my wake.
Yeah. In the meantime, Buck is asked and received permission to cruise the town. So that will come up a little later as well.
Yeah.
But Chet teaches Benny how to ski. And, if you see trouble, you just go loose.
Right.
You
go
go
loose. The rope.
You go loose. And of course, Roman and the rest are in Suck My Wake, the jet boat.
It's got like twin Hemis or something.
Yeah. Flames painted on the side.
Yeah, it's a stupid boat for this type of lake.
And so like Chet's holding the rope, for the skiing, and Roman misinterprets that as, oh, he's gonna go.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so,
like this rope is 700 feet long, and they couldn't just yell back to each other.
Yeah,
because they were like getting impatient in the boat as Chet's trying to give lessons, because obviously, like
he's trying to be
Roman.
A good dad.
Roman doesn't parent well.
No,
he just
wants to go and have
like,
fun.
Are we about done? He just kind of waves at him like, "Shut up!"
Yeah,
and they're oh, Chet's gonna go.
He's gonna go. And so, of course, there's the amazingly fun, curiously edited. There was some clever editing here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, it's, Chet, holding onto the ski. And of course, he's not letting go. Benny's like, Dad, let go of the rope. Go loose.
Drop the rope.
And of course, he doesn't. And,
right.
Comedy ensues.
This like ski bit reminded me, although this was done better, of like Chevy Chase's like sledding in Christmas Vacation.
Yes, yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah, where it's just goofy.
Yeah.
And although this was done better because there wasn't as much green screen used as they used in Christmas Vacation.
Yes, that's funny bit, but there was a lot of weird green screen in that.
Yeah.
So back at the cabin, Connie talks Chet out of leaving, out of his disdain for Roman. And of course, again, it's just more of their relationship. She's like, you're a big man and you're a nice man and you're above all this. And he grabs her shoulders and like playfully like pretends to choke her. And he's like, I was almost gone. And then you talked me back in. Like
I was almost to the car. Yeah. Like, how do you do this to me?
So that night, they all go out to eat, and the kids take a picture with there's like this man who just turned like 106 years old.
Yeah. Well, because Roman wanted to take him to go see like busty women sing Elvis.
That's right. Yeah.
And Chet's like, but it's the oldest guy in Wisconsin. Like, it's his birthday. I at least want to pay my respects.
I love how like that's what they each find to be like fun too. Like,
yeah, like that's what we're gonna do. And the kids somehow don't argue any of it.
Yeah.
Like other than the boat. Like the kids are on board with the boat. But
so then they get there and all the kids like, oh yeah, get in there tight with Mr. What's his name? We get a picture. And Wally walks out and he's like, I don't like the kids crawling around him like that. Like, what? It's just an old man. He likes girls kiss him on the cheek. What old man doesn't like that?
Dead one.
Died 20 minutes ago in the car.
Died on the way here. The kids are like instantly,
go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. So while there's that, Buck and Benny, as we described earlier, go out to shoot some pool at the local billiards hall. Do you think this is supposed to be kind of like the Dells?
I think
I
so.
get some
but
sense.
Probably not as full featured as the Dells.
It's like part Dells, part Northern Wisconsin. It's kind of an amalgam of those.
Kind of feels kind of Ozarky too.
Yeah.
In a way, just like, hey, everybody, like we've got a lot of water. That's why you're here, and we'll give you a few more things to do.
Yeah.
Again, so this town definitely gives that vibe, but not your water park Dells vibe, but just your
like there was the go-kart place, like
that kind of
like
vibe.
the niche restaurants and things like that.
Small scale kind of thing.
Yeah. So Buck and Betty go to a billiards hall where, of course, Buck meets Cammy after accidentally shoving his pool cue between her legs.
She has a weird stance. First of all, like just the what's the word I'm looking for? Etiquette of pool players. You don't, if you give space to the person, like you don't go back to back like that. If you see somebody that's going to be in your way, you give them space and you let them play through.
Yeah, it's like when you're bowling. If the person in the next in the lane next to you is about to go, you wait.
You just let them go. Yeah. So either Buck or Cammy didn't know that rule.
So
plus, I feel bad because when she whips around and that pool cue goes flying, I would have liked to see where it went.
That pool cue went flying too.
Yeah, it went flying, and so like somebody probably caught it. Like
it just cuts to Wally, like it's like
it's Reg.
It is Reg. The 67th time was actually the pool cue. Just gonna get
right.
So later, Chet takes Benny and the twins to the bear dump. There's a fun scene there where he's throwing Zag nuts at them, and the bears get in the car. And and even further later that night, back at the cabin, Chet takes Buck out on the lake and gives him his father's ring. So again, just another nice, father sequence and all that. Next day, Buck comes across Cammy in our B plot here. She's working at the A&W. She plays coy with him. You can hang out with me later if you can find me.
If you can find me. Right.
Just go to the crowd of people that smells like hot dogs and root beer.
All right, I'll see you at the billiards hall then. Or the gazebo, or just whatever random spot there is around town.
And of course, that evening he finds her and they end up making out, which is apparently what the locals do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Like
B plot.
Yeah, B- plot.
Hey. While all that's going on, all the others go to a family fun center. Chet takes a golf ball to the face while he's go-karting.
Yeah.
There's the horse thing. He has an unpleasant experience with a horse.
Yeah, the horse just runs away from him and he has to walk miles back to...
Later at the local bar, Chet and Roman meet Herm, the bartender, who is Louis Arquette, and they also meet Reg, the lightning guy, the local who has literally been struck by lightning 66 times.
Well, he says six. It's like, wow, six times.
66 times. Hit it in the head.
Yeah. So his hair's gone white from all the lightning strikes.
Yep.
How many times you been struck?
Six. Oh, wow, 6 times.
Whoa.
six times.
It's just the way Candy and Aykroyd sell it.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid scene, but
it's
they're so locked in to their character.
Again, there's no point to it, but it's just funny. No. And again, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that there's no point to. It's just funny.
Right. This is dumb.
We also get a little sister sequence. Katie telling Connie about how lonely she's been and how she's
being wealthy's lonely.
Yeah, and how she's adapted the washing machine to meet some of her other needs.
Exactly. And then you get the sense too that Chet and Connie probably aren't as active as they'd like to be, because as Connie'd like to be. And it's just like, does that really work? She's like, have you ever seen White So Bright?
The spin cycle.
Right?
Early the next morning, Katie wakes up screaming, "Something touched me. It's been touching you for years. You never freaked." Not you. There's a bat in the cabin.
Yes.
And again, we get the fun sequence of, like Chet and Roman like armor up.
Well, Chet's going to go in and get it, and then sees it. Oh, much bigger than I thought. It's at least a 2-pounder.
My
It's a big bat.
It is a big bat. and he walks out. He walks in, and it flies right by his head. He just turns over. He just pivots 180 degrees and just walks. It buzzed me.
You survived it.
I get my 9-year-old is also a fan of this movie now, and so she'll just walk up to me and just go, "Dad, it buzzed me."
Good for you.
It's
completely out of context, but good for you.
Yeah,
like,
it buzzed me.
What buzzed you, honey?
It buzzed me.
Right.
And so there's that. They armor up. I think what is it? Roman's got like an upside down laundry basket on his head.
Yeah.
And of course, Chet ends up taking like a tennis racket to the face or something like that. It
lands on his face, and Roman takes full advantage of a stopped bat.
Yeah. After that goes on, we go back to Buck and Cammy, and of course she gives the whole, "We're city boy. You're going to be out of here in a couple of days.
I don't even know your name.
Yeah, you're probably going to ditch me tonight." And so
I promise I will never die.
Basically, and so she's like, and so Buck gives Cammy permission. "You would never speak to me again. If I ditch you tonight." Wonder if that's going to come back up.
Exactly. Boy, might as well have a red shirt on. It's like, I'm not going to see you later.
Exactly. So that night, both families, they go to kind of a Paul Bunyan themed restaurant. And Chet they have one of those big like food challenges there that you see at a lot of places now. And Chet takes the old 96er challenge, which is a 96-ounce porterhouse steak. And if you eat it all, then was it like, I think the family eats for free, and
and you get a t-shirt.
Yeah. Picture on the wall, that kind of thing.
And for those that don't want to do the math, that's a 6-pound steak.
That's a lot of meat, folks. That's a lot of meat. I love how all the people, people at the bar are like, "Oh,
I love that when he decides to order it, they cut to the freezer where they're stored, and no one can open it up, and it's
like Psycho-esque music is playing. There's sharp violins
as they close in on this steak just hanging from a meat hook,
and it just thumps down in front. Yeah. They serve it on like a tree stump.
I think John Grizzly served it up to him from over the top.
He's got the blood marks on his apron.
Oh yeah,
bon appetit.
It's like you just grilled a steak, dude. And how long were you there? Because a 6-pound steak to be grilled, that take a while.
Yes, yeah. To cook that thing thoroughly. So of course, it takes him a long time to eat, and so Buck's nervously looking at his watch, and biting his nails because he's going to be late for Cammy, which of course he is.
And we know Buck's a cool kid because he wears his watch on the inside of his wrist.
Yeah, he does.
So he keeps looking at it like this, like a cool guy.
It's Casio cool.
As they cut to Cammy sitting on the steps of the gazebo, all in denim. Tell she's like, "Buck stood me up."
Her baseball cap. Knew that city boy. They're all the same.
She probably didn't even wear underwear that night. Probably. I'm just
speculating.
Yeah. Probably.
It's part of the A&W uniform. So of course, while that's going on, Chet is he's putting the steak down, and
he's sweating and shaking.
Oh, he's pale. And
he's like,
and he gets the last bite in, and of course Roman turns to the chef. It says, "Hey, can you throw in a couple of shirts?" and he and the chef just looks back at him. He ain't done yet.
He ain't done yet. What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Another lump of gristle and fat. And then cut to Chetty's. He's like pawing at Roman. So he's just fear in his eye.
Just whimpering.
Well, if I get a dessert down him.
Throwing some
so like Roman throws more food into him.
He's just negotiating. Because that's all he knows. That's all he knows. Is to negotiate. Everything's a transaction. Yeah. And so, of course, Buck misses Cammy and whatever.
Yeah.
Early the next morning, again, another just fun vignette. The 4 males go fishing and they all fall asleep and wake up covered in leeches.
Right.
At work, Cammy refuses to take a call from Buck.
Because she's busy.
Yeah.
Like, why are you calling her at work? Like, what a jerk thing to do. Hey, I know you're working, but I'm going to pull you away from your job to talk to me.
Because I'm clearly more important.
Now, okay. Question for you.
Yes.
Obviously, we get to where Buck and Cammy reconcile, whatever. With Chet being the first one ever to finish the 96er challenge, don't you think like the whole town would have probably heard about it?
I can see how word could travel fast. Especially it's the old 96er.
Well, because everybody at the restaurant was circled around him like he had a hot hand at craps or something.
They all lean in too at the same time. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. And so you would think that Cammy probably heard word that somebody finished the 96er.
It was probably Buck.
Probably.
So back at the cabin, Roman is chastising Chet for how to start a fire. It's just being really petty and really small. And Chet responds in kind and just basically points out, nobody invited you up here.
Right.
And that just turns into a huge argument amongst them. Basically, it's like, the Craigs are like, well, we're not welcome. Katie figures that out. And of course, as the Craigs storm upstairs, Connie yells after him, go find yourself a spin cycle. And of course, Chet just backs her up. And he's like, go find yourself a spin cycle.
Don't know what you mean, but do it anyway.
What the hell does that mean? Don't worry about it. Outside, and again, the pointless outside there's thunderclouds gathering, which will lead into the conclusion of the plot here, but we also see Reg nervously caught outside. He hears the thunder, and I know earlier it's like there's nobody better attuned to the barometric pressure than Reg. So after prepping and packing to leave, Roman tells Chet, I came up here to solicit $25,000 for a sure bet investment. I want to include family, your blood, regardless of what just happened. I still want to include you, regardless of you kicking us out, even though we weren't invited.
Kind of tells him a story too about, hey, you go ahead. I'm sure you're getting there.
Yeah, it's a story about, how they're at a family member's wedding or something, and Roman says he was in a toilet stall, and Chet and his father-in-law came into the bathroom, and Chet really insulted Roman, not knowing that Roman was in there. And of course, Chet said, well, I don't recall that happening. I probably had a lot to drink that night. I apologize.
Hey, but if you said it, I believe it.
Yeah. So Connie, you got your checkbook, let's pony up that $25,000 to get in on this investment opportunity. So
I wish I could just write a check for $25,000. Like,
well, you can.
Well, that's true. I could
just post-date it by a couple of years.
Yeah. Gives me something to save for.
2048.
Yeah, but just to be like, okay, I'm in. Yeah, and that's $25,000 in like late '80s money.
Yeah, so that's like $27,000 in current.
Exactly. Tree fitty.
So they cut him a check, and then we see the Craigs driving away, and Katie starts saying a lot of things that lead to Roman feel guilty. Like that was probably Buck and Ben's college fund, and like all this stuff. And Roman hits the brakes. We're going back. We're going back, and at this point, it's raining outside and it's storming outside too.
Yes.
So they go back, and Roman just admits to everyone, including Katie, we're broke.
Yeah.
I came up here to try to get money out of you because I know you're a good guy, and I know you would fall for my line of BS. Oh, by the way, I made up that story about you insulting me to basically build up your guilt to get you to literally buy into this.
Yeah. Our Rolexes are fake.
Yeah.
He got in some real hot water and lost his ability to trade. And now he just basically is a gopher.
Yeah. Yeah, he's at the bottom of the totem pole. He's been lying to his family, and he finally just comes clean about it. Somehow, the guilt finally got to him. Yeah. So,
just massive. I mean, and this, I think everybody was in shock because everybody did a really good job of keeping their emotions in check.
Yeah.
Katie didn't come unglued. Chet didn't.
Yeah, she was upset, but she was. But she wasn't in hysterics.
Right, and same with Chet. You tried to steal $25,000 from me, and that really never surfaced either. Mm-hmm. They just were. It's okay, we respect that you've come clean. And granted, he didn't steal the money because he never cashed the check.
Yeah,
but still
came back, tore it up. So as this conversation is happening, the storm kind of comes to a head, knocks out the power temporarily, and Katie notices that the twins are gone. And where's the twins? And we see them outside in their raincoats running through the woods to an old mine. And earlier in the film, Wally had found them kind of snooping around near the mine.
Yeah.
But they went back there. They were curious about it, and they ended up falling into this... falling down the water slide into the mine.
Right. It's like the mine was built on the set of the Third Man's sewer. Everything is a slope down to the bottom.
Uh-huh. Harry Lime was down there too.
Orson Welles played the bear.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
So Roman and Chet go out to look for the girls. They end up finding them in the mine. But again, it's a very narrow entry, and it's at a very steep angle. And Chet's like, Roman, you got to get in there and get your girls. And Roman freezes for a moment, I'm claustrophobic. And Chet's like, you're their father. Go get them.
Yeah,
I'm going to go back and get some rope. You do what you can in the meantime. And so Chet goes back to get some rope, and Roman ends up basically falling in as well. But while he's down there, he's able to kind of pull them both up and out. There's some vines or, whatever that happened to be. So he pulls the girls out, and they go back to the cabin. In the meantime, Chet, they don't pass each other. So Chet goes back to the mine. Of course, the musical cues are different now that the peril is over.
Right.
And so he drops the rope down the mine. And in the meantime, we see that there's a bald-headed bear that's down in the mine, and we get some fun comedy bits here as the bear grabs the rope and is kind of pulling Chet against the wall of the mine.
Yeah.
And Chet eventually gets enough leverage that he pulls the bear out, thinking it's Roman and the girls, and so. And so he pulls him out, and he realizes, and he's got kind of a smile on his face. By the way, my 9-year-old is also doing this to me as well. She looks at me with a smile on her face. Oh, we did it. And then she drops the smile and goes, a bald-headed bear.
Good for her.
Yeah. And so Chet sees it's a bald-headed bear, and he takes off back to the cabin, and the bear is chasing him.
Yeah.
It's chasing him. It's on his heels at one point. And Chet gets back in, slams the door behind him, and just puts his back up to the door. And Chet's kind of lost it here. It's like, and of course we get this. To me, this is a classic John Candy bit here. The whole big bear. He can't get the words out. He's so terrified that
he can't catch his breath either.
Big bear. Big bear, chase me. And of course, Connie's in the kitchen making sandwiches, and she's like, you want a sandwich? Big. And she's like, oh, I'll make it a big one.
I know, everybody's so relaxed because the twins are saying that they're like, oh, hey, Chet.
Hey, Chet's back, everybody.
Okay, I'll make it a big one.
Big bear, chase me. And the bear breaks in the door, pins Chet against the floor, under the door, while the bear is standing on the door and on Chet, just bouncing up and down. I love that at one point Chet's just like, uncle. And of course, so eventually the bear gets off of Chet and kind of goes after the others, and eventually the bear starts going up the stairs, and Roman has grabbed like a boat oar, and he's put himself between. It's Katie, the twins, and Benny are all upstairs, and Roman is just fending this bear off. And as he's doing this, Chet, because he's just so delusional at this point, he had put the bear, he picked up the door and put it back in the frame.
Trying to make things right.
Yeah. And Wally, in the meantime, busts in. He'd heard the commotion, and he busts in. And earlier, back at the check-in lodge, we saw a lamp that was built out of a shotgun.
Yeah.
And so Wally busts in with the shotgun lamp and aims it at the bear. First, he has to plug it in.
I love that part.
It's a lamp.
It's an electric shotgun.
It's fuel efficient. So they plug in the lamp, and Chet grabs the lamp gun out of Wally's hand and aims it at the kind of the back of the bear, pulls the trigger, and the buckshot shoots the fur off of the bear's butt, leaving these two exposed butt cheeks. And of course, the bear just runs into the woods whining and yelping, and the day has been saved. Just a classic. When I think John Candy scenes, like that's one of the first that pops up.
Well, when I think of this movie, that's what I think of is this bear scene at the end.
Yeah. So the next morning, Buck and Cammy share a final kiss, a final moment. We also learn that Connie has invited the Craigs to stay with them as they get their finances sorted out.
Yeah.
So the Ripleys hustle out because they have to get home first to get the good spot in the garage. And then there's kind of an odd end credit sequence here. And I don't know. I didn't find this in any of the trivia. I don't. Maybe you know, or maybe just your take on it. Do you think this was a deleted scene, or do you think they shot this just for the credits? They're all back at the bar there,
right,
dancing, and it's like Roman and Connie are dancing while Chet and Katie are kind of just like cheering them on in the back. They're dancing to was it the Wilson Pickett Land of a Thousand Dances?
Right. I honestly haven't seen anything about it either. They probably just did it for fun in the end credits because it really wouldn't have fit anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because you would have needed a full scene to do it. They definitely wouldn't have done it the same night that he ate that 96-ounce steak.
Let's go dance that steak off, Chet.
Yeah, so I think it was just for fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's a post-credit sequence. This is like a pre-Marvel movie. Post-credit sequence of the raccoons gossiping about the bear. One of them says she's bald at both ends now. And that, folks, is 1988's The Great Outdoors. What a fun movie this is, Oz.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Great way to kick off the month.
Yes. Hey, folks, at this point in the show, Oz and I each give our own unique rating about this week's movie, The Great Outdoors. Hey, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm giving this 96 ounces of beef.
Yep.
Take it from you?
Well, I had two options down, and that was one of them. My rating will be 67 lightning strikes to the head.
That works. That works.
Next up, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well in our next comedy bit, Outside Insights. Hey, Oz, what's your outside insight for this movie?
Because we enjoy this movie, I went and found a bad one.
Okay.
This is a 1-star review on Amazon by, it doesn't matter. It's just a bunch of gibberish.
Got it.
Liked it when I was a kid, but this movie is very hard to watch. Not very funny, and they miscast the roles Dan Aykroyd and John Candy.
What?
The roles should have been reversed, with John Candy being the intruder.
Really?
Sorry, but the role was a bad fit for Dan Aykroyd. Sorry, that's sorry. Right. So, yeah, Ooh. 1 star.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine this flipped.
No. Good thing this person isn't a casting agent.
Yeah. Idiot.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Mine as always comes from the Internet Movie Database. This is actually just from March of 2023, so just at the time of this recording, just a little over a year ago.
Mine was September 2020.
Oh, wow. So we got two very recent ones. Mm-hmm. I went to the other end of the spectrum. Mine is a 10 out of 10 review from Evans. I think it's probably Bob Evans.
It's probably Evanston.
It's Evanston.
So it's community review.
It's just a collaborative review.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Before IMDb was even around, this movie was a 10 out of 10. How dare these young people underrate this movie? Oh, by the way, the subject line was average 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So how dare these young people underrate this movie? It just goes to show a lack of creativity in today's movies for young people. This movie was one of a kind. Hollywood could never, ever duplicate a movie like this. This was real writing, real creativity, and real actors and real scenes. They do not make them like this anymore. They never will. 80s and 90s had the most creativity that was ever put to film. They had unlimited imaginations and dared to push the envelope. Today's movies suck. Wish they were more like The Great Outdoors.
Yeah. How dare young people do it? How do you know the age of the people that rated this movie?
They're all Gen Zers, I can tell.
That's right. I've reached out to all 11,462 IMDb reviews.
Average age 19.
Right. Idiot jerks. I'd love to meet a 19-year-old that's seen this movie.
I know, right? It's just a funny movie.
Yeah, it's just a fun film.
All right, hey folks, it's that point in the show you've all been waiting for, our signature Let's Talk About Flicks segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I will each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about 1988's The Great Outdoors. Hey Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first good is Chet's just a good dad. Like,
You beat me to it. I was going to start with that. Yeah,
he's a great father. He's a great husband. Yeah. Overall, he's a great guy. So that's my first good. My second is just the easy to miss humor in this movie. Mm-hmm. I loved Wally's "I've been to Duluth" T-shirt.
I saw that as well.
I love it. I love when Connie's ordering dinner. She's like, I'll have the bucket of salad. And then like, Chet, you want to split a bucket of salad with me? Yeah. Just a bucket of salad. Just little bits like that just, it's just like, they're that like chef's kiss to a movie. You know, you're in control of the humor in the entire movie when you can just hide little jokes like that. And it doesn't take anything away, but I do. I love Wally walking him up to the cabin with "I've been to Duluth." And third, this one just makes me laugh. I noticed, because I was paying more attention watching it this time for review purposes, obviously, but every scene that Buck and Cammy are going to meet, it's the same musical cue. Yeah. The same soundtrack in the score. Every single time they're going to meet. Yeah, I got to the point where it just became comical to me, because it's almost like they knew how goofy this B plot was or whatever. So, but it was like, you got different musical stings and different scores throughout the film. But if Cammy's going to be in a scene, especially if Buck's going to be there, you got to layer that in. And so I enjoyed that piece to it, the dedication to it. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
Again, you completely beat me to the punch on he's just a good dad. And
you're welcome.
Yeah. But so I'll kind of take a different spin on that. John, my first good is John Candy and Stephanie Faracy's chemistry.
Yes.
Like Stephanie Faracy, like she's kind of one of those like that person actors who just kind of pops up in things, but they were so good together in this movie. And as we were talking before, there might, I don't know whether certain scenes had improvisation or not, but I completely believed that they were in this happy, healthy relationship, and they're just a fun couple.
That's the word I was going to use too. They're believable as a couple, not just like emotionally, but like, I get tired of, you see these shows, they went on a run there, like in the early to mid 2000s, where you've got like your King of Queens, where you've got some kind of schlub male, and then a wife who's like probably way out of their league.
Yeah, like a tough talking hot wife.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. But but like these two, I could genuinely see these two, their characters being together. I mean, because he's got a great personality, but obviously maybe some physical differences that, you know, might turn someone off. But at the same time, like she's right there in that same circle.
Yeah.
To where, you know, they're very believable.
Yeah, I adore the chemistry between these actors and how it just establishes how healthy of a relationship they have, and just how much fun that you could see these two characters having together in their relationship. Like this is them all the time.
Yeah.
This just like playful, silly, loving, you know, couple. So that's my first good. My second good is let's go with I like that they gave some of the, you know, just some of the locals, and again, I'm not the A plot locals, to be specific.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, Wally and Juanita and Herm and Reg and the raccoons, and like it again, it didn't linger on them, but they had enough personality, like the I've been to Duluth shirt. Yeah. Like there's just enough there, and as you kind of said before, like these locals like engage a lot more than most locals would in this kind of place, but it works. And you know, it's like, you know, they want to have fun too, and they recognize there's some fun people here in Chet and Roman to have it with. So
Chet.
Yeah. Well, primarily Chet, yeah.
Yeah, primarily Chet.
And my last good, my apologies. And again, as far as the A plot goes, fun storytelling, just pacing. Yeah. The editing I thought was really good in this. Scenes didn't linger. The comedy bits didn't linger. Right. It moved right along. It didn't have an overly complicated narrative. And again, you don't need to have that for this movie.
No, and they knew what humor they were delivering. Yeah. They weren't relying on like lingering, awkward camera shot to be funny. Like, as you know, I love Napoleon Dynamite, but that's where a lot of Napoleon Dynamite's humor's from. Is let's just leave the camera pointed at these weirdos, and then it's funny. But like this movie knew, it's like, no, we're funny. Yeah. We'll cut when we need to and move on because we're delivering the laughs.
We've got funny actors. Let's have them do funny things.
Exactly.
It's like I wish, I don't know. Like, I wish comedies were still like this. I wish, like, the awkward humor can work sometimes too. But like, just be funny. Like, humor is not complicated. Just be funny.
No, you know, funny people can be funny. Yeah. You don't have to put them in some like outrageous scenario. You know, because everything that happened in this movie fit the characters.
Yes. Yeah, this is what you would do if you were on vacation in Wisconsin.
Right.
You'd go to you'd take a horse, you'd go to the lake, you'd go to the go-kart place, you know, you'd go get a steak.
Yeah, everything felt authentic.
Yeah. And my last good,
that was my last good.
So again, the A plot storytelling, basic and editing was great. Hey Oz, what are your two bads?
My first one is just guys like Roman.
Yeah.
Like, and I know I won't even say he had it like an about face at the end. Yes, he came clean, but at the same time, he's still like, that's still his personality. I need to win. I have to win. I'm going to be competitive about things that don't even matter. Like, no family of mine's eating hot dogs. We're eating lobster. Like, it's like, no, it's fine.
You don't have to one up everyone.
Yeah. So it's just guys like Roman, people like Roman, not just guys, but they're just people in general.
They tend to be males more often than not.
They do tend to be males, but just people that feel like I have to win the conversation. Yeah. And so that's annoying. And two, I know this is nitpicky because it was her screen debut, but it's like out of the three of the four adults, Annette Bening got the least to work with.
Yes.
And so I just feel like in some ways, like, granted, hindsight's 2020. I'm like, you guys kind of wasted Annette Bening. Like, now, don't get me wrong. She held her own. Yes. She delivered. Yes, she did. You know, but it's like, oh, man, it's like, it's Annette Bening. Like, you know, you had her right there. And so that's my second bad, which, again, nitpicky because I could have gone some, but they would have just been mean. Like, like the twin daughters, they're not actresses. Like, no. You know, so I'm like, I'm not going to pick on kids. Yeah. So that's my second bad is they had Annette Bening. They didn't realize what they had at the moment.
One of my, oh my God, one of my, I don't know what's going on here. What am I possible? I think I tried eating the old 96er for dinner, and this is the after effects.
Either that or a bowl full of spider webs.
Yeah. One of my possible huhs was, why doesn't Annette Bening do more comedies?
Yeah.
But
yeah. That's a good huh.
So okay, so my two bads. I'm gonna start with I'll just say the obvious one. You didn't go there, I will. The B plot in this movie is laughably bad.
It's pointless.
Yeah, it's at best it's pointless.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it didn't linger on the scenes. Like it didn't overstay its welcome. But every time you saw Buck and Cammy, it just kind of ground everything to a halt.
Well, it's like every time Buck's going to leave, you're like, oh, like I'm not watching this movie to see what Buck's up to.
Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to appeal to like a teen demographic here or
just pad the runtime.
It's like, just keep having John Candy do funny stuff. That's really all you need in this movie.
That's what you got.
Yeah. So that's the obvious first bad.
Yeah.
And my second bad is, during one of the comedy bits, they took the horses out, and Chet's horse was acting up, and he threatened it with a switch. Like, and it was a momentary thing, but like, don't do that, people.
Right.
Don't hurt animals, even if they're being pains. Don't hurt them.
We also shot a bear.
Well, yeah, but he was feeling threatened. He wasn't being threatened by the horse.
I think he just hates animals.
He couldn't wait to plug that lamp in.
He wanted to go kill that bat.
Yeah, it buzzed me.
Why go to Wisconsin to the outdoors if you hate animals? But yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I'm going to throw in like a backup bad here as well. As the Craigs are driving away, Katie is saying all these things. Like everything Katie says is just said to make Roman feel guilty.
Yes.
It's wonderful that he trusts you so much with his money. Like,
it's like that's the most Annette Bening spoke in the entire movie. And it was, you could almost see her holding the script in front of her face, reading it.
That was Buck and Ben's college fund.
Right.
Like, ugh. Yeah.
I hope he can recover from that disease without that money.
Yeah, so that was a possible bad as well, but I felt like mentioning that just because. All right, hey Oz, what's your huh?
Do all films with twins have to feature yakety yak?
What other films have it? What am I blanking on?
Twins.
That's right. I was watching it before.
Yakety yak, don't talk back.
Don't talk back. He's threatening no one.
Right.
It's the most threatening version of Wilson Pickett.
Yeah, when they're singing at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, there's twins in this movie too.
I knew that. I just forgot it when you mentioned it. Yeah, but I did think of that as I was watching. Don't talk back.
Yeah, I think all movies with twins feature yakety yak.
It must feature yakety yak.
Like Great Outdoors, Twins, Dead Ringers, The Prestige. It's like 2 Prestige references in 2 weeks.
That's our new that the wrong kid died.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if it's in The Prestige.
It's in the Prestige.
I'd like to see Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale singing Yakety Yak.
Yakety yak, don't talk back.
Yakety yak. So that's my huh. Is there a requirement that the coaster's Yakety Yak must be featured in all films featuring twins? So what's your huh?
Oh, I got a couple possibilities here. How does someone survive being struck by lightning 67 times? Other than just for comedy yucks. Right. He has his own magnetic field. I think that's what it is.
Why does he still go out? Like, especially during storms.
And how does it keep? Like, it's like I mean, Louis Arquette. You'll never hear anybody more tuned into the barometric pressure than over Edge, and it keeps happening.
I know, like once. That's awful. Twice, okay. At this point, I'm not going out if there's a threat of rain. Like, it's not like it's striking him down in his recliner.
like he's an Aldi like comparison shopping, and it just comes through the ceiling.
He's watching Matlock. And boom, there it comes again.
He's taking a bath in the basement just for safety.
Exactly. Right. Oh my, that's a good huh.
So that's The Great Outdoors. What a fun movie. I've got some great memories of watching this movie with family. And as we were talking pre-show, again, every year my in-laws have a place up near the Dells, and so that's one of the things that's the only thing I insist on doing every year when we're up there is we're going to watch The Great Outdoors.
It's actually the first thing you guys do when you get up there.
Yeah. All right.
Everyone's excited for fun, and you're like, sit down.
Sit down. Ooh, water parks. Ooh, food, Dells, whatever.
Unpacking.
No, we're watching The Great Outdoors, and you're going to like it.
Yeah. Don't even take your shoes off. It's just watch.
It buzzed me. Oh, what a fun movie, Oz. And
great pick.
Yes. So what do we got next week as we continue with Candyland, John Candy?
Yeah, I hope you still have a sweet tooth because we're coming back with some more candy.
Nice.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna stay in Hughesville. And we're gonna watch Uncle Buck.
We are.
We're gonna visit Uncle Buck, where we get John Candy as Buck Melanoma, Maisie Russell's wart. But we also, that's pretty much it. We get a little Macaulay Culkin action in there. But it's another just John Candy showcase. Yeah. Another movie pretty much full of comedy bits. Yeah. But this one, Uncle Buck does bring a little more drama and a little bit more...
kind of a dark comedy in some places.
It's got some heavy stuff. Yeah. But very appropriate stuff. Not like, like, oh my God, I can't believe John Candy made that movie. But there's some family things to deal with. There's some family relationships to deal with. There's some loyalty to deal with.
Relationship stuff.
We get just unbelievable. I think Laurie Metcalf is one of the most underrated actresses
Agreed.
in Hollywood. Yeah. And we get just a fantastic Laurie Metcalf character role in this one. But we will be back next week to talk about Uncle Buck. Yeah, we could easily have done 3 months of Candyland.
As you mentioned, John Hughes as well. This month is almost parallel John Hughes as well. Almost,
yeah. And that's just how much of a stranglehold that guy had on like family comedies, coming of age stories in the 80s. Like fingerprints on everything. And just the creativity, like, well, I didn't direct it, but I wrote it.
Yeah.
I produced it. And it's like, it just seemed to be like he was that guy that everybody wanted on their set somehow.
Every movie from 1984 to 1990, except Predator, involved John Hughes.
But he was in Predator. He played the woman.
he was the chopper.
Right. He played, actually it was his arm that fell when Carl Weathers got shot. It's John Weathers wasn't jacked enough. But John Hughes with his writing arm
it's from all that writing.
Yeah, he did it all longhand. Yeah. He writes the script longhand. Jacked.
It's Over the Top was the other. I mean, that movie was made in I think 86, but it's still John Hughes because that's actually a semi biography of John Hughes.
Yeah, it's because he played this. Because he played the semi. Yeah. That movie is about semis. It's a semi-biography. It just happens to be narrated by Sylvester Stallone. I would watch that. I would watch a Peterbilt documentary narrated by Sylvester Stallone. You might remember me from Music Over the Top.
I wish all semi-honks...
And Rhinestone.
I wish all semi-honks were just... They sounded like Sylvester Stallone grunting.
So it's a Mac documentary. So, but now we'll be back next week to talk about Uncle Buck. Social media wise, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us Patreon link down below. This episode is already 1,000 times better than last week's.
Well, I mean, this movie is 1,000 times better than last week's movie. Lethal Ladies, Return to Savage Beach.
At least 1,000 times better.
Not as many boobs, but
nowhere near. We get like half of an under boob out of Connie at the beginning, but Chet quickly covers that up because
Dirtbag
Roman's recording it.
Yeah.
Katie never says stop. Like
she looks uncomfortable, but she never says knock it off.
Yeah, it's like that's my sister. About to get it on. Let's watch. Like,
don't look, girls.
Right, cover your eyes. Where'd they get their red hair? That could have been a huh.
That's a recessive trait.
Very recessive. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
they couldn't afford better hair.
Right. Well, Roman, I'm sure
broke at that point.
I'm sure Roman broke down the Punnett square to realize which chromosome led to that. But anyway, we'll be back next week with Uncle Buck. We'll see. I lost that train of smoothness on the way out of the station. But anyway, for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Big Bear chase me.